There's a moment that happens right before reality shifts. Most people never notice it because they're too busy waiting for permission, looking for signs, or trying to feel ready. But those who've learned to recognize it, those who understand how decision actually works at a quantum level, they know that this moment isn't emotional, it's energetic. It's the exact instant when hesitation collapses and direction emerges, and reality has no choice but to respond. Let me tell you about someone who discovered this the hard way. She'd been visualizing the same outcome for 3 years. Affirmations every morning, vision boards, meditation, all the techniques everyone talks about, and nothing moved. Not because she wasn't committed, not because she didn't believe, but because beneath all that effort was a question she refused to answer. Who was she actually willing to become to have that life? The day everything changed wasn't the day she got more inspired or found a better technique. It was the day she stopped asking the universe for confirmation and made a decision so clear, so final, that her nervous system had no room left for negotiation. Within 2 weeks, 3 impossible doors opened. Not because she manifested harder, but because she finally gave reality something stable to organize around. Here's what almost no one tells you about manifestation, about quantum fields, about the way your subconscious mind actually creates your experience. Reality doesn't respond to your desires, your hopes, or your worthiness. It responds to decision, not the kind of decision you announce on social media or tell your friends about, the kind that ends one version of you so completely that going back becomes harder than moving forward. And if you're part of this community, if you've been studying consciousness, neuroplasticity, and the mechanics of manifestation, then you already know something most people will never understand, that there's a code operating beneath the surface of your experience, and the moment you activate it through real decision, reality bends in real time. So here's the reframe that changes everything, and it's simpler than you think. The reason your reality feels stuck isn't because you don't know what you want. It's because you haven't made the decision that makes that reality inevitable. And there's a massive difference between wanting something and deciding it's done. Wanting keeps you in a loop of longing. It's future-focused, perpetually out of reach, emotionally draining. Deciding collapses that loop. It brings the identity shift into the present moment. It's not about forcing or faking. It's about energetic commitment at a level your subconscious recognizes as truth. Most people treat decisions like preferences, like options they're considering, like possibilities they might explore if conditions align. But that's not decision, that's speculation. A real decision doesn't wait for readiness. It doesn't need external validation. It happens in a single moment of internal certainty. And from that moment forward, every action, every choice, every interaction becomes an expression of that decision rather than a negotiation with it. This is what separates those who endlessly prepare from those who actually transform. And here's the part that ties directly into neuroscience and quantum mechanics. Your brain and the field around you are both pattern recognition systems. They respond to coherence, not effort. They respond to clarity, not intensity. When you make a true decision, your brain stops scanning for alternatives. It stops running parallel timelines in the background. It locks into a single vector. And that creates what neuroscientists call neural coherence, a state where your thoughts, emotions, and actions align so completely that your nervous system sends a unified signal. And the quantum field, which is always listening, always responsive, finally receives a message it can work with. So let me remind you of that opening story, the woman who waited 3 years. Her breakthrough didn't come from a new method. It came from the moment she stopped being 2 people at once. Let's break down how this actually works, because once you see the mechanism, you can't unsee it. Every moment you live in indecision, your brain is running multiple simulations. It's weighing outcomes, calculating risks, protecting you from perceived failure. This is what psychologists call decision paralysis. And it's not a flaw, it's a survival response. Your amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for threat detection, views commitment as risk. Because commitment means closing doors. It means accountability. It means you might be wrong, so your mind keeps every option open as a way to stay safe. But here's the problem. While your conscious mind is debating, your subconscious is receiving mixed signals. It doesn't know which version of you to build. It doesn't know which reality to construct. And your autonomic nervous system, which governs the subtle energy you broadcast into the field, stays fragmented. You're literally emitting a contradictory frequency. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to tune into a radio station, but instead of dialing one frequency, you're switching between 3 different stations every few seconds. You get static, noise, fragmentation. That's what indecision does to your signal. The quantum field can't collapse a wave into a particle if the observer hasn't decided what they're observing. This is the observer effect, and it's not just theoretical physics, it's the lived mechanics of how reality forms. Dr. Joe Dispenza has spent decades studying how coherent brain states create measurable changes in biology and external circumstances. His research shows that when the heart and brain synchronize, when decision eliminates internal conflict, the electromagnetic field around the body strengthens and stabilizes. That field is what interacts with the zero-point field, the quantum substrate, where all possibilities exist. But possibilities don't become probabilities until there's a stable observer with a clear intention. An intention without decision is just a wish. Now contrast that with what happens after a real decision. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for executive function, stops wasting energy on hypotheticals. It redirects that energy toward execution. Your reticular activating system, the filter that determines what you notice in your environment, recalibrates to show you opportunities aligned with your decision. Suddenly you see the book you needed, the person who can help, the idea that completes the puzzle. Not because those things weren't there before, but because your decision gave your brain permission to see them. This is selective attention backed by neurological commitment. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Decision activates the same neural pathways as action. Studies in motor imagery show that the brain can't fully distinguish between vividly imagined movement and actual movement. Similarly, when you make a true decision, your nervous system begins preparing as if the outcome is already unfolding. Your body starts producing the neurochemicals, the hormones, the physiological states associated with that reality. You're not faking it, you're becoming it. And because your subconscious mind governs 95% of your behavior, once it accepts the decision as identity rather than goal, it starts automating choices that align. You stop self-sabotaging because the old identity is no longer running the program. This is embodiment. And embodiment is the language the quantum field understands. Now here's where most people unknowingly sabotage themselves. And it's not because they lack commitment, it's because they confuse decision with declaration. They announce what they want, they set intentions. They write it down, say it out loud, tell people about it, and then they wait. They wait for the feeling of certainty. They wait for circumstances to confirm they made the right choice. They wait for evidence before they fully commit. But this is backwards. Evidence follows decision, not the other way around. When you make a true decision and then immediately start looking for proof that it's working, you're actually still in doubt. You're monitoring, you're testing. And monitoring is the opposite of assuming. It keeps you in observer mode instead of participant mode. Another trap, making decisions from the identity you currently are instead of the identity the decision requires. You decide you want a new career, but you're still operating from the nervous system of someone afraid of visibility. You decide you're calling in a partner, but you're still embodying the energy of someone unworthy of priority. The decision has to include the identity shift, or it's just a preference wearing a disguise. Then there's the mistake of treating decision as a one-time event. People think, I decided, so now it's done. But in reality, a true decision is renewed every time doubt resurfaces, every time fear whispers, every time the old pattern tries to reclaim you. The decision isn't a moment, it's a return. It's the practice of coming back to that internal knowing faster than you fall back into questioning. Research in behavioral psychology shows that it takes consistent reinforcement for new neural pathways to become default. Your brain doesn't rewire from a single choice. It rewires from repeated alignment with that choice. So when you feel doubt after deciding, that's not failure. That's the reconsolidation process. The question is, how quickly do you remember who you decided to be? And finally, the most subtle sabotage, deciding in your mind, but not in your body. Your words say yes, but your posture says maybe. Your thoughts declare certainty, but your breath is shallow and your shoulders are tense. The body keeps the score, and if your nervous system hasn't received the memo, the decision hasn't fully landed. So if you're sitting here recognizing yourself in any of this, let me say something important. This is not about willpower. It's not about being stronger or more disciplined or more spiritual than you were yesterday. It's about understanding that you've been playing by rules that were never designed to create transformation. You've been taught to seek certainty before you move, to feel confident before you act, to wait until it makes sense. But transformation doesn't happen in the land of making sense. It happens in the space where you choose direction, even when the map is incomplete. And that's not reckless. That's how every evolved version of yourself has ever emerged. You didn't wait to feel ready the first time you learned to walk. You didn't wait for proof before you decided to trust someone. At some point, in every area of your life that has ever expanded, you made a decision before the evidence arrived. You've done this before. You already know how. The reason it feels harder now is because the stakes feel higher, the identity shift feels bigger, and the part of you that has kept you safe is terrified of what happens if you're wrong. But here's the truth that changes everything. Being wrong is not the risk. Staying in indecision is the risk. Because every day you delay the decision is a day you reinforce the identity that doesn't have what you want. And if this resonates, if you feel that quiet shift happening inside you right now, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Not for the algorithm, though that helps, but because when you press that button, you're making a micro decision. You're signaling to yourself and to the field that this message matters, that you're ready to stop waiting and start becoming. And small actions like that train your nervous system to say yes before fear has time to negotiate. So pause here for just a moment. Let this settle. I want you to ask yourself something, and I want you to answer it honestly, not out loud, but internally where it counts. What decision have you been avoiding because you're afraid of being responsible for what comes next? Not what do you want, not what you're manifesting, but what decision are you delaying? Because once you make it, there's no more hiding behind circumstances, behind timing, behind other people's choices. And here's the second question, and this one might sting a little. If you made that decision today, right now, and fully committed to the identity it requires, what would you have to stop pretending? What version of yourself would have to end? Because that's the real edge. That's where transformation lives. Not in the having, in the becoming. And those of us walking this path, those who've started to see through the illusions of control and certainty, we know that the most powerful thing you can do is decide before you're ready. Decide while you're scared. Decide even when every logical reason says wait, because the quantum field doesn't respond to logic. It responds to resonance, and resonance begins the moment doubt collapses and direction emerges. So sit with that. Let it be uncomfortable if it needs to be. Now let's get practical, because philosophy without application is just entertainment. If you're ready to activate this, if you're ready to let decision become the force that reorganizes your reality, here's what you do. First, identify the one decision you've been avoiding. Not 10, not a list. One. The one that, if you made it fully and completely, would change the trajectory of everything else. Write it down as a declaration, not a wish. Not, I want to, or I'm trying to. Use present tense identity language. I am. I have decided. This is who I am now. Say it out loud if you're alone. Let your nervous system hear it in your own voice. That's the first step of embodiment. Second, notice the immediate resistance. The thoughts that say, but what if, or I'm not ready, or what will people think? Don't fight those thoughts. Thank them. They're just your old identity trying to protect you. Then make the decision again. This is the practice. Deciding, noticing doubt, deciding again. You're training your brain to default to certainty instead of questioning. Neuroplasticity research shows that repetition creates permanence. Every time you return to the decision faster than you fall into doubt, you're rewiring your default state. Third, take one physical action within the next 24 hours that only makes sense if the decision is already real. Not a big action, not something that requires permission or resources you don't have. Something small but aligned. If you decided you're the person who has that business, send one email. If you decided you're the person in that relationship, shift one boundary. If you decided you're the person with that health, make one choice your old self wouldn't make. This signals to your subconscious that the decision isn't theoretical. Fourth, shift your language immediately. Stop saying, I'm working on, or I'm trying to become. You are, or you aren't. There's no middle ground in identity. The more you speak from the decided version of yourself, the faster your RAS recalibrates and your environment responds. People who are applying this are already seeing the shift. They're noticing that opportunities don't feel like luck anymore. They feel inevitable. Conversations happen at the right time. Resources appear. Ideas drop in. Not because they're special, but because they stopped sending mixed signals. They made a decision, and reality finally had something clear to work with. And fifth, expect the test. Because the moment you decide, the universe will check if you mean it. Old patterns will resurface. Doubt will knock. Circumstances might even temporarily look like they're moving in the opposite direction. This isn't failure. This is recalibration. It's the field clearing out what doesn't match your new frequency. The decision isn't proven in the moment you make it. It's proven in the moment you choose it again, when everything in you wants to go back. And let's be very clear about something. If you decide today and doubt shows up tomorrow, that doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. It means your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do: protect you from uncertainty. The ones who actually transform aren't the ones who never doubt. They're the ones who doubt and decide anyway. They're the ones who feel fear and move forward, not because the fear disappeared, but because they stopped letting it be the decision maker. This is the real work for those of us on this path. This is what separates someone who casually explores consciousness from someone who uses it as a tool for actual change. We know that transformation isn't a straight line. We know there will be days when the old identity feels stronger than the new one, days when it seems easier to go back than to keep going. And on those days, the only thing that matters is this: how fast do you return to your decision? Do you spend 3 days spiraling, or 3 minutes? Do you need a week to get back on track, or can you catch yourself in the moment and choose again? That speed of return, that's your superpower. That's what builds momentum. Because momentum isn't about never stopping. It's about restarting faster. And every time you do, you're teaching your nervous system that the new identity is safe, that the decision is real, that you're not going anywhere. And slowly, without you even noticing, the decision stops being something you make and starts being something you are. So here's your invitation: not to do more, but to decide more clearly. Right now, in this moment, as you're hearing these words, you have a choice. You can let this be another video you watched, another piece of content you consumed and forgot by tomorrow. Or you can let this be the moment you remember as the one where something shifted, where indecision collapsed, where you stopped negotiating with your future and started embodying it. And here's how you mark that moment. Go to the comments and share one of 4 things. You can share the identity you've decided to step into from this point forward. You can share the one insight from this video that will actually serve your path. You can share the next action you're committing to based on what you learned here. Or you can share a personal story, something from your own experience that connects with this message and proves to yourself that you're not starting from scratch. You're building on something real. Whichever you choose, let it be intentional. let it be yours. Because that act of declaring, even in a comment section, is a decision. And remember that story I opened with? The woman who waited 3 years. The moment everything changed for her was the moment she stopped asking and started walking. That's the moment reality said, now. You are not the person who watches content, hoping it will change you. You're the person who takes what resonates and turns it into action, into practice, into identity. That's who's here. That's who belongs in this space. And if that's you, if you feel that alignment, then understand this. The decision you make today doesn't end when this video ends. It continues in the next choice you make, the next thought you allow, the next moment you choose certainty over hesitation. This is not a one-time activation. This is a way of being, a frequency you return to, a resonance you strengthen. And every time you come back here, every time you engage with this work, you're reinforcing that decision at a subconscious level. You're building neural coherence. You're stabilizing your signal. So if this message feels like it's speaking directly to you, if you sense that you're part of something bigger than just personal development, then subscribe. Not because I need you to, but because you're signaling to yourself that this path matters. That you're done waiting for permission. That the version of you that hesitates is no longer in control. The next video will be waiting. And so will the next layer of who you're becoming. Reality is bending. The question is, have you decided to bend with it?